If you've ever felt behind in life, or if you ever felt other people were scurrying at a pace that you just couldn't keep up with, it's too late for me to ever learn how to do that or that. It's too late for me to learn to draw. I'm too old now. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is we don't know how long we've got, do we? So how long is a piece of string? How do we know if it's too late? We don't. So we might as well get stuck in, because the sooner we start, the sooner we're going to get good at it. I truly believe that we all have the right to pursue our passions, to follow our dreams, no matter what our age. I was thinking about all the sort of aging, getting older stereotypes, and how I just don't believe in any of it. I think it's all a load of nonsense. And I'm not sure why we allow these constraints to kind of invade our space, in our heads, in our thinking, in our beliefs. Don't be scared to be a beginner. Don't be scared to be new and rubbish at something. I shall be here cheering you along. I've been working on, it's a bit wet, on this little lady. And yeah, I've not been talking to you at all today, but just clean my hands while I talk to you. Not too bad actually, considering what I normally am. Anyway, how are you doing out there? In all honesty, life right now is really complicated for me. So I've been doing a little bit of hiding away in here today, and the hours have just disappeared. You know when people say, I do not know where the day has gone? I've just been doing this. And I've been doing loads and loads of watercolour layers, and then I'm just waiting for it to dry right now. But I'm getting hungry, so I've brought some food with me, so I might have some supper here, which is most unusual for me, because normally I come in the morning, and then 2-3 o'clock, I'm ready to go home. But I've been here all day today and I don't want to go home. This is my pure escapism, if you like. And so there are a couple of big decisions, life-changing big decisions that I need to make coming up, and I don't want to make them because it's too hard to make decisions. But I'm absolutely positive, because it's been scientifically proven that creativity is really good for problem solving and brain function. Also, you can kind of disappear into the creativity, but in the background, it's all still ticking over, isn't it? So I'm still pondering on everything, I'm sure. My whole process at the moment is focused on trying out some new paper. So I've got some hot press watercolour paper by Fabriano. And so I like to try all my supplies, all my mixed media techniques on the new paper to get to know it, because you know, if you're anything like me and you love paper, trialing new paper, I can't talk today. Then if you're trialing new paper, it's really good to make some broad strokes of what you normally do, and I like to mix and match with different things. So if I showed you this one finished yet, she's probably my most recent one. I think last time you were here, you probably saw me painting some roses. I have been doing this at the same time, and some art journaling. This isn't on the new paper, this is my usual paper. This is the new paper. And you can see here I've done a little splodge in the corner, but I'm going to do some collage over that bit, so don't you worry, I'll fix it. Anyway, I just thought I would pop in here and talk to you today, because I know that I haven't talked to you yet.
Middle of the road is just a feeling of a distant melody unknown. I was doing fine, I minded my own business till the day you took me home. You came into my life like a sweet embrace, swept me off my feet and made me whole again. You came in my life, I wanna see your face. Never will I be the same again. Well, I thought I knew what life was all about. That song had already been sung. I was going on, still minding my own business. Never knew that life had just begun. You came into my life like a sweet embrace, swept me off my feet and made me whole again. You came in my life, I wanna see your face. Never will I be the same again. I wanna see your face again, oh let me see your face again. I'm far from being satisfied yet. I have to see your face again, oh let me see your face again, and take me to the place we first met. You came into my life like a sweet embrace, swept me off my feet and made me whole again. You came in my life, I wanna see your face. Never will I be the same again. Never will I be the same again.
Studio slippers. Oh yeah. Get comfy, get cosy. I haven't had a coffee yet, so I might need to have a coffee. I've come armed with a flask though. I've been doing a thing. James has been going on to decaf, so I've been doing a thing where I do half and half in my percolator. There's a cold snap and it's full moon today. I think I'm going to start another one, draw her out again, try her again on different paper. I'm not entirely sure I love this paper. This is a Fabriano paper. I might try it on an Arches, I don't know. Got a meeting this morning in the building. There's not a lot else going on today, which is good for me. I like days with not a lot going on. That works for me, especially at the moment. I'm gonna need my pinny on today and I don't know where it is. There we go.
The colors, summer love, memories washed in every shade of green.
Sometimes art, painting can be a very frustrating process, can't it? You know, sometimes we feel like maybe we should be able to do that really, really easily. You know, if you're out of your flow, then it's not always the easiest thing to get back into it like that, isn't it? I kind of like warming up with loose florals and stuff. I think that's why I felt like doing something really different, like a kind of more illustrative fairy tale kind of look. I haven't finished this page yet. either. I haven't finished that one. I've finished this one now. This one's obviously not finished. I only started yesterday. And so I think if I can find my Archer's paper, I'm kind of finding now I've got a home studio that, yeah, I love it, don't get me wrong, but I sometimes have stuff in the wrong studio. So I've brought my better brushes and my mixing palette, and my paper is good because it's on a block and it doesn't curl up. This one I'll have to squish and flatten. Don't usually stretch my watercolour paper. With a block you don't need to. And there's a little gap on the side where you can just slide a palette knife or something in and then release the page. So yeah, I think I'm going to draw her out again. Probably do the same little lady leaning on her hands. I might change a couple of things. I'm definitely going to work into that one as well. I feel like starting another one and having a few on the go. But art can be a frustrating process. You know, painting is hard. I think painting's hard anyway. I've always had a flair, you know, an artistic flair for drawing, painting, but it still doesn't necessarily mean, you know, I'm not a genius at it, and, you know, by no means the best artist around. At the same time, I do want to improve, and I do want to feel more confident in my abilities to render things. Female faces, flowers is my thing, really, so I love to paint those. Sometimes you have the shoulds, don't you, where you feel like, oh well, I should be better at this and I should be better at that. That's not a healthy place to be. And the other unhealthy thing, I think, is feeling behind in life. So, you know, oh, it's too late for me to ever learn how to do that or that or that. You know, it's too late for me to learn to draw. I'm too old now. But I have to say, I started quite a few things late in life. I started a few things early as well, because I had my daughter early. I was 19 going on 20 when I had her, so that bit was early. So that meant that college came later for me, a few years later, and so I was kind of like one of the older ones in college. Did that make a difference? It did a little bit, because, you know, nowadays 3 or 4, 5 years age difference isn't a big deal at all, but back when you're sort of early 20s, yeah, I think the age difference did matter. It did disconnect me from my peer group, if you like. You know, also I had a child, so that limited my social life. And I wasn't a single mum initially, but then after 2 months, I really quickly became one. So it was tough, you know, it was tough. But I went back to college part-time and I did art and I did my English literature A-levels, and then I went on to do a foundation course. And again, on the foundation, I was one of the older ones. There were a couple of older people as well, older than me. I kind of felt like I was a bit behind everyone else in a way. I could never afford a gap year or anything like that, or going travelling, and obviously I had my child as well. But I did go off to university, and again, you know, I wasn't the oldest one by any means, but I was above the average age, if you like. And there were some more mature students, and I was kind of in between. So I wasn't in the peer group of the youngsters, and I wasn't in the peer group of the matures, but I did end up making some good friends there. Don't really keep in touch with anyone now. One of the painting classes that I did was an evening class, and one of my housemates offered to look after my daughter one night a week for the sort of 8 to 10 weeks of the class, because it was kind of like a modular degree and you could pick and choose classes. This was, I think, the second year, and I ended up in a lovely situation living with another couple of girls who were great with my daughter. It was like a big fam. It was lovely. I used to go to this class, the evening class, and it was an observational painting class with a really strict tutor who was amazing. I absolutely loved him. And I met 2 girls on there, and we used to go to the pub after and have a pint, have a beer, so that was fun. I did always feel a little bit separate from everybody, a little bit misfitty, a little bit like I just didn't fit in, really. Maybe that was to do with feeling a little bit older, left behind. I never actually felt like I'd left it too late, to be honest. A few years later, I needed to make a living, and, you know, as we know on here, it's quite hard to make a living as an artist, and it certainly was harder back then in the days before social media, because you couldn't put yourself out there in the way you can now. So you wouldn't necessarily be able to, you know, get your artwork on the internet with quite a large audience quite quickly, be able to sell things, make your living, make some money. So I went into teaching, and I did primary teaching for about 13 years. I loved a lot of it. I loved being with the children and that aspect, but I also didn't love a lot of it as well. If there are any teachers out there, anyone in education, I think you'll know what I mean. It was a very intense job. huge workload and a lot of responsibility, and yeah, it was pretty tough. And I think when I left that and went back into my artwork, I guess then I did wonder if I'd left it too late. And by that point I was in my early 40s, and that would be over a decade ago now, because now I'm in my 50s. Yeah, sometimes I kind of did feel at the time I'd forgotten a lot of my skills, and I was really rusty and everything, so I kind of had to start from scratch with my drawing and stuff. It was frustrating at times, but I loved it. I loved the creativity and I loved creating. And then I hit a wall. I hit my midlife crisis. Not a creative wall, but a life wall, if you like. And that's when we sold our house. We'd only been in for 5 years, me and James, and moved into our teeny tiny van, so van number 1, which was dumb. You know, you couldn't stand up in it, didn't have a fridge or a toilet. Tricky, but it was fun. We sold most things, put some bits and bobs in storage, and yeah, ran away to Europe in our van. There is a video all about that if you're interested in that story, because that's a whole other story. Anyway, if you're feeling left behind in life, I think we all have times when we do, don't we? And then we feel like it's too late to do something, too late to start, too late to learn something new. It's not true. Sometimes you just need to hear it from someone else, don't you? If you always wanted to learn to draw or paint or learn a language or write, what's stopping you? Yes. It's never too late to follow your dreams. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is we don't know how long we've got, do we? So how long is a piece of string? How do we know if it's too late? We don't. So we might as well get stuck in, because the sooner we start, the sooner we're going to get good at it. So I got this far, hang on a sec, with this one. I've also done another one, so I've got 2 on the go, and it got me thinking about what I was talking about yesterday. And yes, I know I've got the same dress on, but it is another day. I was thinking all about how we can literally follow our dreams at any age. I was thinking about all the sort of aging, getting older stereotypes, and how I just don't believe in any of it. I think it's all a load of nonsense. And I'm not sure why we allow these constraints to kind of invade our space, in our heads, in our thinking, in our beliefs. It's definitely something that I experienced because I basically didn't follow my dreams, even though I knew that I wanted to be an artist and, you know, get as good as I could possibly get at it. Convention and life got in the way, and I was told that I needed to earn money in order to, you know, pay my way in life. And yes, there's a sense in that's true. We've all got our bills to pay, etc. We all know those are getting bigger and bigger by the moment, it seems. Anyway, maybe that's a topic for another day. I often get asked, you know, is it too late to start? I'm in my 70s now. Is it too late to try and learn to draw? And I say absolutely not. If you've ever felt behind in life, or if you ever felt other people were scurrying at a pace that you just couldn't keep up with, or you just thought you've left it too long, you're never going to be able to learn something new and be any good at it anyway, so what does it matter? And in a sense, we want to get good, or at least, you know, make some improvements at what we're doing. There's a lot to be said for hobbies, time out, time doing nothing. I made a whole video about that. Time in a way to allow yourself to be bored and see what you stray into doing, how you actually spend your time when you're not trying to do earning the money part. What would you choose to do if you didn't have to earn money to pay the bills? And to me, that's true freedom. And it's also something that I relate to getting older. There's a little bit of irony in this, in a sense that we think it's too late, but in actual fact, the biggest resource, aka time, opens up a lot more usually when we get older. So we should embrace that and use our time the way we choose to spend it. So once we have that time opened up to us, you know, maybe it's time to revisit our dreams. My experience in life was basically, in a nutshell, I needed to pay the bills. And I was a single parent for a long time. I had a fine art degree, but what to do with it? Because there wasn't actually a job that fit the fine art degree. No. So with another year at university, I could do a postgrad in education and become a teacher. I could have done art teaching, or I could have done primary teaching, and I chose to do primary teaching. And even though I enjoyed many aspects of it and wouldn't change it for the world, I still had a big part of me that felt like I'd sold out on my dream. And in fact, that's exactly how I felt when I got my first teaching job. And yes, I had a consistent wage that covered my bills and I could support myself and my child, but at the same time, I always had that niggling feeling that I wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing. I wasn't fulfilling my actual purpose. I wasn't pursuing my dream and activating the natural born gifts that we're all given. We're all naturally good at something that isn't any effort for us, that just pours out of us naturally. It's a case of recognizing those, expanding on those points, following your heart, really going within. I talk about that a lot on here, and that can be a magical treasure hunt to help us find out and allow things to unfold. And when we're doing what we feel we're meant to be doing, which basically comes back to the point of spending our time the way we choose to spend our time, what would you do if you didn't have to make a living doing it? That whole thing. And so when I was in my 40s, I began again. I made my way back, and I had to start learning all the basic skills, techniques, formalities of painting, all of it, all over again. And even though I feel like teaching is a really worthy occupation, I got tons out of it. And yeah, like I say, I wouldn't change it for the world. I still feel like that. I put my life on hold for 13 years. At that point, I pondered very deeply on whether I'd left it too late. I remember I had a countdown on my laptop called Free Your Soul, and it was the date after I'd handed my notice in. I worked quite a few more months, and it was the date that was going to be my last day in school, and I freed my soul. Yeah, and that's how I truly felt. And I was terrified. I didn't know what I was going to paint. I didn't know whether I was going to be able to draw anything. I didn't know how to start and how to restart and how to relearn and do any of it. And then all these little fairies started coming out. You know, there's a fact of life. We really don't know how long we've got. And we also know that we are getting older every moment, every day, every week that goes by. We know this. Can't do anything about that. But what we can do is reframe our brain into letting go of all the age stereotypes that we have going on. Over the hill, oh, she's past it, I'm too old now to do that, etc., blah, blah, blah. And maybe just the simple fact that we probably have more time when we're getting older than we did. Maybe we're not bringing up young children anymore, so that opens up some time. Maybe we don't have to work full time anymore, so that opens up some time. And I think the hesitation comes from the fear of failure, doesn't it? It's like, oh, what if I'm no good? What if I can't do it? What if my outcome is rubbish? What if I fail? But if we don't even try, then we'll never learn to fly, will we? Wasn't it the author Laura Ingalls Wilder? Didn't she write all the Little House on the Prairie books in her 60s? And so she was a late bloomer, so what? And if you're in any doubt as well, there was an artist called Grandma Moses. She started late in life, I believe in her 70s, and learnt to paint in I think it was a folk art kind of style. She gained a lot of recognition and popularity in her 70s. You know, learning new skills keeps our brain active and healthy. So why shouldn't we have a go at new hobbies, things we've never tried before, things that we gave up a long time ago but always wanted to pick up again? The things that we make, the things that we create that feels innately us. So we feel like ourselves while we're doing it, if that makes sense. That's how I know I'm into the right place. I'm into the right nook, if you like. And of course we're going to come up against challenges, but we need to learn to embrace them and remember that they are part of the journey. I absolutely love coming to sit down here. I've got all my books. This part of my room is my office. I love the fact that it's zoned off, so I can quietly surround myself with my creativity and my knowledge, wisdom and learning, all my books. I don't have to be online and have all that noise. It just gets rid of the overwhelm and I can just sit down with a book. You know, sometimes we have to go back to the beginning. And so that's exactly what I do. This is a great book, by the way. If you want to have a look at my book recommendations as well, I did a video a while back, so I'll link it up there. I might have to do an updated one now though, because I've got a load of new ones. But what I'm saying is don't be scared to go back to the beginning. Don't be scared to be a beginner. Don't be scared to be new and rubbish at something. When I first started drawing the fairies and the faces, I was rubbish at it. But that doesn't matter. It's not the point. There's definitely going to be setbacks. There's definitely going to be self-doubt. There's definitely going to be obstacles in terms of maybe financial ones or time ones. And we might not have any success at anything at first. I didn't really gain much recognition at all until I turned 50 and started this YouTube channel, to be honest. So you have to be a little bit brave and put yourself out there a little bit as well, in whatever way you choose to. It doesn't necessarily have to be social media. There are other ways as well to do that. You can just look around on YouTube and see, because there's lots of videos on, you know, how to sell your art, for example, without having a social media presence. So it's not everything, but it does open up a lot of opportunities, a lot of doors that maybe 20 years ago or so we didn't have. And that in itself can mean also embracing the technical side of things as well, and that opens up a whole new realm of learning as well. So that there's things that go alongside maybe what you want to do. I mean, for me, for example, I didn't know I was going to fall in love with editing and storytelling on here, you know, sharing bits and bobs, studio life, ups and downs and all that, building community, like-minded folks, my tribe, if you like, you know, reaching out to other people, reaching out to you, just having those private glimpses into other people's worlds, other people's realms. It makes us feel, I've said on here a lot, haven't I, we're not alone, we're not going mad, we're not crazy. So I certainly think that the world of social media, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is that you know, enjoy being, can open up those opportunities for growth, in the sense that when we feel those moments of self-doubt creeping in, we can go and find our people, our places that we go, and it keeps us going, doesn't it? I think that brings me to my final point, which is we do need to keep going. So in order to keep going, we need to get going, if you like. So we need to do the action part. And that can be the hardest thing, can't it? I made a whole video of how to start, because I think starting any project new, starting a painting, starting writing a book, it's the starting that is so, so hard. And we're so overwhelmed and terrified and fearful of failing, it stops us ever starting. I think if you're a planner, make a plan. Have some loose goals at least, and have some smaller steps on your goals list and work towards those every day, even if it's just a tiny little small step every single day. I don't think necessarily you need to grow a thicker skin, but I do think you need a certain level of resilience, and you also need to be very persistent. So in that sense, maybe the discipline word comes in a little bit as well, because there's going to be a procrastination, and it's forcing your way through that, doing a drawing or a little something anyway. I'm not just talking about the visual arts here, I'm talking about anything that lights up your soul. Anything that you can feel in here is the thing, that's the thing, or things. Some people have a number of things. I like to do a bit of dancing as well, you might have noticed. So as they say, if you're waiting for a sign, then this is it. This could be it. There's a reason you clicked on this video. Thanks for watching, by the way, as well. I shall be here cheering you along. I truly believe that we all have the right to pursue our passions, to follow our dreams, no matter what our age. Age and experience are completely irrelevant. And if it's a career and a way that you pay your bills and make your living, then that's great. And if it's not, and it's a hobby, then it's not just a hobby. A hobby is just as valuable. I think the word hobby minimises it. I think it makes it not sound important, but it is just as valuable. And in fact, if you consider it a hobby, it might just not feel like such a big pressure, and you might just be able to make those small steps and dip your toe in and have a go. You don't have to tell anybody about it. It's just me and my sketchbook. I don't have to show anybody. I don't have to put it online. Give yourself those reminders, give yourself permission in case you need that, because we know this already, don't we? It's just that sometimes we need a little push and a little reminder. So a final little note then, if you want to do it, you're going to have to make it happen by doing, if that makes sense. And that's why I often talk about on here just doing a little something, because that takes you in the direction that you want to go, even if it's just a teeny tiny step. Because some days, to be absolutely honest, that's all I have the energy for, which I've talked about I think in my last video. Part of my challenge is my invisible illness, severe fatigue, and my fibromyalgia type symptoms, and those energy levels mean I can't always do what I want to do, but I do always try and do a little teeny tiny something. So if you feel like it, may I gently encourage you to do the same, because you feel a lot better afterwards, and you also feel the motivation, inspire yourself if you like, to take the next little step. Yes. So as always, thanks so much for watching and keeping me company. Try to keep your lights shining bright. I will if you will. Self-care to the max, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Make me whole again. You came in my life.